Well, good evening, everyone. How are you doing? Got the sultry sounds of James Bopp with a microphone in his throat. And the breath from my nose. Kind of funny. I'm really a simple man. Simple things make me laugh. Let's see. We got a whole slew of things for you because it was Black Friday last Friday. Many of y'all were out shopping. I am going to we'll give you guys a little bit of an update on the Black Friday sale. Let me pull those updates up. I think I put those in general, didn't I? Yes, I wanted to put them in general. There we go. Oh, yeah, there is a big delay in there. I can hear your mic picking me up from your headphones a little bit in my headphones. All right, so while we're waiting for y'all to come in, I'll say these, and then those of you that show up, what's up, Larry? How you doing, brother? We're going to go over a whole slew of things, but we're going to start with a Black Friday sale update from Dundon Motorsports. So last Black Friday, good evening, Mr. Jack Curtis. 2023, from October 30th through December 3rd, we had 135 orders, which is, at that point, the biggest we've ever had. So that was really, really cool. This year, we're up 29% to 174 orders. So fantastic work by the team, by having everything here. And what's really cool is, of those 174 orders, only 60 are left to ship, and 38 of those came in over Thanksgiving weekend. They happened in the last 4 days of the sale. So we're keeping up. We've changed so many things in the last year to really be able to do this well. In manufacturing, we've redesigned a whole slew of parts to take advantage of 3D metal printing to make assembly faster so that we can make more units per employee per unit time. We've made them easier to weld. Some of the things like the tabs that you'll see on our headers, on the collector and on the runner, those will come pre-printed because we get the collectors printed now, so we don't need to weld those tabs on. And I just had a thought. We've got a fuckload of tabs now that we order that have custom made that we're not going to need. So
I still need them on the runners.
All right, fair enough. It's like we'll have that in the orphan list at some point. We've got a lot of, as we've continued to run quickly, doing innovations and trying to move things along, we end up orphaning parts. We've got some old style collectors that aren't printed that Philly's working with to try and find a way to move in. It's like $30,000-$40,000 worth of collectors that we got to find a way that we don't orphan them in inventory and whatnot. So yeah, it's been really, really fantastic. I'm not going to quote revenue numbers or anything like that, but in general, product mix continues to evolve for us. It continues to grow. We sold either 4 or 5 full lab wrap packages. I think 3 of them were for GT4 RS, and the other 2 were for 992 GT3. So that bodes well for our plan to offer full packages, from suspension arms to the dampers that are custom made for us, to the settings that come with the car, to the aero, to the power, to the X, to the Y, to the Z, all that good wrapper stuff. So are you trying to share that, brother? Or are you trying to zoom in on it?
Yeah, you want me to share it?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. So people can kind of see what we're talking about.
No?
Yeah, there it is. That is a printed collector. Yeah, oh, this is the 997 stuff that you took a picture of. So zoom in on the tab on the collector. Those are actually welded. Those didn't come.
Yeah.
Those didn't come printed. Okay. So the next time we make these specific collectors, they'll be printed versus them being welded on there. So. Oh, I appreciate that, Chris. It's all good, brother. We're actually working on more thorough instructions because of the acceptance that not everyone that installs our parts will have installed coilovers before, right? And so the assumption that a highly capable DIYer will get our parts and need some instructions to be able to do it. And for the most part, we do, and we did have instructions up for MCS for a while, but they were a little bit too old, so they didn't apply to what we were doing now. Is kind of why we're in transition. We're right in the middle of getting a new set of instructions done, both for the GT4, GT4 RS, and for 991 GT3 and the like. So no worries, brother. You're not hurting nobody. You're not hurting nobody. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. I threw a curveball at Justin. I didn't think I was going to talk about that, but just quick Black Friday update. Good evening, Mr. Tajport. How we doing? Cheers. All right, so those, you still got the other image up. You need to kill that. There we go. So here, you can see those tabs are printed on this collector, and we can do that in situ in the printer. And then this is a collector that's clean with none on it, and we'll weld those on. So this saves us a lot of time. That's 6 welds, 6 tacks, and positioning all of those and all that bit. So it saves quite a bit of time to have those come in. Yes, retrieve a beverage, my friend. It's good that Taj has joined us because we're going to talk a little bit about what I did on my birthday. Hence the reason that's the cover photo. So I treated myself after a long time to 3 days at DirtFish. For those of you that don't know what a DirtFish is a rally school, and it is the most fun you can have with 4 wheels on the ground. It is, I can't rave enough about it. So flippin' fun. I did the 3-day 2-wheel drive school because I wanted to. Let me back up. You guys have probably heard me talk about this a little bit. The difference between Ted in a car. Ted is we'll call him a retired professional race car driver. He has won championships. He has won numerous races, beaten Andy Lally for pole, a number of things. So he's very competent and capable, and he was the lead instructor at DirtFish for a long time. By going and learning how to drive the car in the conditions, not rehearse the choreography that you have in your mind for what driving a car around a racetrack is supposed to be. I put the car here, then I put the car here, then I put the car here. The thing that became really apparent to me is as we got more and more cars that were more and more capable, a big one was the Cup car. Cup car on slicks, I drove essentially the same speed as a street car on street tires, which was a tell. It was a big tell. I should have been faster in a Cup car because it has more grip. It's a faster car. It's lighter, all of these things, right? I should have been faster. And I wasn't. Why wasn't I? Well, I was driving what my ass told me and my eyes told me was the right speed for the racetrack. I wasn't driving the car in the conditions. I was driving my choreography. And I think a lot of us that have come up in car clubs, PCA, BMW club, you name it, where they set up cones and they set up braking markers and they're like, brake here and turn here and yada, 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 blah, 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 track out here. You do the choreography. When you're in a rally car, every single time you go through a corner, it's different. Every single time. The gravel's different. The water's different. The inside of the corner is different. The outside of the corner is different. Video's not fantastic, but this gives you a sense. We can, once you do that full screen, so these guys can get a sense of it. I'll narrate it a bit. So this is, hopefully Ted's back here in a second. He'll be able to tell us exactly what this is. This is third day morning, so we're actually driving through the woods. Sorry, this is third day afternoon, first session, I think. So it's the first half of the afternoon. We're driving through the woods where the consequences are large. If you do something stupid, you hit a tree, or you end up high-centered and this kind of thing. And the biggest difference, the main thing that you learn in rally school is how weight balance front to rear in the car moves the car. Thank you, the mill run. Moves the car around and allows you to rotate the car on its nose. So you kind of plant the nose and pivot the rear end around it. And how much the brakes comes in, how much the brake pedal influences your ability to get the car to turn, get the car to dance, get the car to be in control was one of the biggest things. And most of us that are on a circuit, we get that. We trail brake, we do these things. You know, that was a really big correction there. But you get you don't have these opportunities on a tarmac circuit. You can't safely do this at 30 miles an hour. Seriously, it's no lie. You got to get fast on pavement. You got to get fast on dirt, because you got to figure out what not having traction is like, to be able to translate it to when you're on the very edge of traction and you're over that line and then back inside of it, so that you can figure out where the line is. Yeah, right. If you're going hard enough left, you'll find yourself turning right. The one big goal that I had for myself in doing this was to find comfort in bringing my eyes up to what's coming next and letting my as the car's going through it. And that's really hard for us. And this drove it home that the car goes where you look. Like, for instance, as I would go in too deep into some of the corners in the first couple days and even later, and you're kind of transfixed on that cone or that post, we're going to hit that, we're going to hit that, we're going to hit that. You're looking at it, so your brain's subconsciously helping you find the thing that you're focusing on. You're going to hit that. Okay, we're going to hit that. That's what you want. It's what you're staring at. Let's go there. Even if it's the back of the car, you'll still end up finding it. And one of my coaches was like, stop looking there. It's already done. You either you're going to hit it or you're not. You don't need to keep looking at it. It's still there. Look down the track, try and fix it, moving forward. Go forward. So that was a huge one for me. And by day 3, I was starting to see windows, not edges. I was seeing windows to put the car through. And it was a very strange thing to have that happen in that environment. And it was so freaking cool, because you start to see I don't know how to describe it. It's like a plane flying through virtual circles, right? You're not concentrating on the edges of the circle. You're looking at the space in the middle. And it was very profound for me as a driver. We'll see if I'll be able to do anything with it when I'm out actually on a street circuit, but I have a funny feeling that some of this is going to transfer pretty well. I've already seen it transfer in the sim. I was telling Ted earlier today that I've been concentrating on Laguna in the 992 Cup car, and really trying to concentrate on using my periphery for where I'm at right now, like what's happening right now, and then really trying to look at the next corner exit. So if I'm if I'm before apex, if I'm in a corner entry, I'm letting my periphery deal with corner entry and making sure that I'm far enough left. And then I'm getting the car to apex because that's exactly where I'm staring. I'm staring at apex. I want the car to be there. And then I'm bringing my vision up to way past exit. And that way I can find throttle, hopefully before apex. I don't know, Larry. I think karting in the rain, maybe. But this all happens at 2030s, 2030. No consequence, right? There's no, oh shit. Yeah, like Ted, thank you. There's just for me, there's no psychology of, oh shit, I'm about to hit something. It's like, it's all just cones and posts in gravel. And if you send it, you sent it. All you did was run over some cones or some tires, whatever. Don't send it that way the next time. So, and that, yeah. The weight transfer is very apparent. You have to be so patient to give the car time to react, because that's one of the first things that they can tell that you've driven a road car is you're all over the controls trying to fix it, and you haven't even let it happen yet. So, do you want the car to stop, turn? They actually talk about it's either lift, turn, brake, or lift, turn, wait is the other one. And you start with lift, turn, wait. So lift, turn, get your brakes on, or wait, and then the car will go. And then you have lift, turn, brake, and off you go. Then you have trail braking where you're hard on the brakes and you release them a little bit to get the car to point. You slow the car down to actually make the corner, and then you keep the brakes on. Your left foot braking. Yeah, maybe. So yeah, it's, I would encourage all of you who are track drivers to do this. Maybe it doesn't have to be DirtFish. If it is, let me know that you're coming, because I want to go back. I want to figure out a way that I can get the boys from Dundon there. Feel like it would be really, really fun as a corporate endeavor. Just to get everybody out there on team build. Probably not cheap for a small business, because it was not cheap for me to go. 3-day class up there is about $6,000. So just to give you guys that. But I don't know where I'd pick these skills up any other place. Something else that I realized, one of the instructors there, Danny, is a physio coach for Olympians. And what's going on, Ely? And he's working on his PhD in the psychology of driving a motorsports vehicle in dirt. So essentially, how do you educate somebody? I just caught Eric B's comment. How does rally school apply to cars and coffee, though? Clout, bro. Everything at Cars and Coffee's clout. You wear your DirtFish hat and your DirtFish shirt, you got clout. You could probably just go online, buy the hat and the shirt, and have the same thing. But, maybe if you're in a Mustang when you're doing the burnout, leaving Cars and Coffee, you can actually control it. You don't kill people. Maybe there's that. So you get a sticker you can put on your car. That's true. I do have the DirtFish alumni sticker. So there's that. So I think everybody should try it. I can't wait to go back. I don't think a rally car is in my future because my lifestyle won't support it. But I could really see if I was a young man that got this hook in me, I'd have gone down that rabbit hole real quick. For instance, if I would have caught rally before I caught track driving, I might have been an instructor at DirtFish, just like playing in the dirt and the gravel and being cold all the fucking time. But those days are gone. All good. Let's move on to some other things. So that was my birthday present to myself. Yeah, enough on that. Another couple pictures from Jack, who is Jack Curtis's buddy, and has been out to the ridge taking pictures of our cars. So thank you, Jack, for getting some good pictures on the last day. slinging gravel. Let's talk about the 3RS next. So we have been for the last, when was Horvea here? September?
Maybe, yeah.
I think it was September. So Horvea, who's our design engineer in Croatia, he was here in September, and we were scanning the 992 GT3RS. And we have a video to share about the results of that work. Kind of from, we're also going to do a Whiskey Friday Academy to talk about what this all entails. This is what a point cloud looks like from the scanner. So lots of detail, often too much detail, bunch of little tiny triangles, right? So it's taking points and it's putting all the triangles together, right? So you can kind of see what we're working with. This is half the car, all stitched together. You can see how some of the shapes aren't exactly super clear. Some of the areas aren't exactly super clear. So Horvea has to go through and he has to find all of the certain elements on the scan and then start to build shapes in CAD that match the surfaces. So it's tessellated. Yes, sir. Super tessellated because we don't want to have that many data points. You can't move them around in a CAD. So he takes primitives. He starts to work with primitives, planes, curves, shapes. He starts to rough it out, right? The same way you would woodwork with something. You start to rough out the shape. You start to kind of really build up where you're at. You start to build some refinements. You start to add other things to it. Yes, exactly. The point cloud is just the points that define those triangles. Exactly right. Exactly right. And we can make it finer than that. We didn't want to have a giant, like, 100 gigabyte file to have to roll around in a CAD program. It's too much. So you can see, here's the final shape. You can see how well it matches the scans. Very close. What's going on, Mike? Happy Whiskey Friday.
Aloha Friday indeed.
Aloha Friday indeed. When I'm back in Hawaii, it's Aloha Friday. I don't waste that here in the mainland. So the reason I want to share this is from the time Horvea was here until now is how long it's taken to build this model. And we are days away from getting Ryan this model so that we can start doing CFD. But let the video play out. This was way more than I was expecting to see from Horvea. This is awesome. This is essentially the Whiskey Friday Academy video that we'll just put voiceover on top of, which is great. Ah. We did under the car. We did the ducts through the car. We did the two versions of the car, high downforce and low downforce. It is an enormous amount of work. It is an enormous amount of work. And this is why not many people do this, honestly. Those that take this, I mean, there's services. You can send a point cloud to a dude in Vietnam and they'll send you a version of a model for a couple $100, but it's not really right. It's close, but it's not right. So we wanted to really, and we've used that service in the past because, we had limited services, resources. But we ended up paying the price for it because, like, on the GT4RS, we didn't actually run a full CFD on it until on the car. It's kind of crazy. But we'd already done all the testing. We knew the aerodynamic devices worked. We just needed the data to prove to everybody else that the car made what we thought it did. So that wasn't that big a deal. This one, we need to know before we start effing around with it that we don't muck it up, right? Because this one's much more complicated. This is the first real aero car that Porsche's produced. So we want to make sure we understand very clearly what's going on with it before we start changing things. The bottom is important. All the ducting is important. All the through holes are important. It's just, yeah, it's a whole lot to jive through for sure. And you notice we only use half the car because, you know, the other side's exactly like this side, but in a mirror. So we don't have to scan the whole thing and do it for all of the car. You can do it in half and then duplicate it. How's the audio tonight? Because we went Black Friday shopping and got us some new goodies. So hopefully it's good. Because in my ears it sounds real nice. But hopefully for y'all it's a bit better than it's been. Charles is next door with a GT4 with our muffler on it. So we'll talk about that soon. Still some things to fix with that. Fantastic, Chris. Thank you. We'll come back to that. This never-ending 718 GT4 muffler project. So we want to get to this. We actually have a box of parts here that we are going to test fit. Hopefully not hot breath on you. Breathing that hot whiskey breath.
Jeez.
What's up?
So much stuff.
Oh, I know, right? So now we got the wing. That's full DRS. Good evening, Sean Reed. How you doing, brother? Ah, yes, adding all the details underneath and all the stuff on the floor and the fender vents. Yeah, there was a lot to model, and Horvier went into this being very good at CAD, but not having done a lot of reverse engineering. And this was like PhD reverse engineering class for him, because there were so many parts of this car that were not cooperative in SolidWorks. And SolidWorks is a good CAD system to do this in. It's probably not the best, but Horvier did look at NX and a couple others. He used to work at Siemens. He's like, I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze to move to NX as far as how much faster it would make this for what we're trying to do. You know, because he's pretty good, as you can see, with what's going on. You can see all the ducting coming through. You can see the flap added. You can see the wheels and tires, or at least primitives of the wheels and tires added. No, those will not be aero discs. We're not making wheels, but you guys get a sense of we need to give the air a place to go through if that's what we're going to try and test, both on the front and the rear, and the tires, because the tires make a lot of turbulence from an aerodynamic standpoint. Oops. Jamie looking scared. Rawr. So anyway, that's what's going on with the 3RS. Next up is to get it into CFD, and we plan to document that entire saga with Ryan. Yes, the cats are always monitored. I think what you're getting at is, will the American OPFs be monitored? It's not in U.S. current Clean Air Act legislation to have OPFs. So I don't know what Porsche is going to do on the 992.2 GT3. I know in Europe it's highly restricted because of the amount that they had, the amount of OPF that they had to put on it, and the amount of restriction they had to overcome because of it. So, kind of like the RS now. The RS doesn't come with OPFs in the US. The GT4 RS doesn't come with OPFs in the US, even though in the rest of the world it does. So at least monitored OPFs. In the RS, the cans are empty, which was smart because on the 992 GT3 they left them in there. They left the substrate, and that was seemingly wasteful. It was probably just because they had so many of them, they were already ready to go, so they left them on the car. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm hoping somebody local gets a 992.2 GT3 so that we can test one, because I don't plan on getting one. I'm not going to give up my RS for a 992.2 GT3. I'll just say it that way. I think we can do more with the RS and borrow somebody's 992.2 GT3 and give them a sweet deal on an exhaust to get what we need to know figured out. Figure out that our splitter can fit, get a scan of the bumper, all that kind of stuff, and off we go. 992.2 GT3 lab rat's ready to go. There is a center lock update. Speaking of the RS lab rat, we're free. We're free. All of our new 718 products moving forward, Ealing, are through axles. So we are moving to a unified product moving forward. That does not mean that because you bought something from us before that you get the new thing for free as a free upgrade. iPhones don't do that. Porsche doesn't do that. Dundon Motorsports doesn't do that. So,
Pull it up.
sure, if you've got that handy.
Yeah.
It's a 3D printed. We aren't all free, indeed. So they are 3D printed wave pipes. We're actually going to likely modify this a touch more for the 718. Some of the early 718 cars, because it's been around for a while, that have MCS have more droop than starting about 18 months ago. So some of the early MCS systems droop a little more than the stock systems and may contact this 3D printed wave pipe that we have. So Charles is likely to modify that a bit more so that we get a little bit more clearance to the axle as it comes down. That's kind of nuance and niggly, but that's generally what it looks like. The wave pipes will probably move to a unified wave pipe for the 4RS and the GT4 just from a manufacturing standpoint, so we can build one thing, not build many things. The headers on the GT4 are different than the GT4 RS for obvious reasons. One's a GT3 engine, one is a modified 3-liter turbo engine turned into an NA engine. So that's the gist with that. Let's talk about center locks. So if you can zoom in on that so I can read the dates. There we go. So originally, it was work weeks 36 through 49 that were identified as problematic. So what's interesting is work weeks 36, 37, and 38 were all cleared, as well as work weeks 49 and work weeks 5 in 2024. So now they've condensed the concerned center lock work weeks from work week 39 to work week 48. So that means we're free. We get to use our car again. We can continue working on MCS and working on some of the ways that we can maintain chassis stability in extreme G loads, which is what we're working on right now. And more to come on that. That may be a a kit we offer to some of you that are using the cars for time attack or super extreme extreme use cases. We'll say it that way. So that's great. I guess this is what I heard from one of the Porsche techs that we're friends with, is Porsche actually, if you request it, if you have this car, if you have an RS, they will send a tech to your house to inspect your center locks. You don't have to bring the car to them. You just have to call your local Porsche dealer. I'm not comfortable driving the car. Can you send a tech out here to take a look at this and clear my car? They can take pictures, enter it in the system. So if you got a recall notice, that is something you likely should do. So we've got a great lap here queued up. We want to share that. Correct, Chris. That's correct. It's just the center lock on the outside. It's not the lock, which is on the inside. So this is Ted on a sunny day at the Ridge. We're out testing. I don't think this is as fast as Ted can go. And this is not completely optimized yet, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. This is with MCS on our GT3 RS. This was with a new set of Goodyear Super Sport Rs, which are the stock tire for the car. This isn't Trofeo RSs or something like that. That might be in the spring. We may look at that. And this is with MCS. The car, I can attest, I drove it. It's much more compliant and much easier to manage at the limit with MCS on the car. So it's a big improvement, honestly. And I was expecting that, even with the dials and shit that it comes with on the steering wheel. It's still an improvement, which not too much of a surprise to those of us that have been running the Stamper for a while from us. So we'll wait for the time to come around. And for those of you who are wanting to roll this back when we publish it, watch where Ted's head is pointed as he's moving through the racetrack. This goes back to where your eyes are going. Whoa, we get an ad in the middle of it.
Got an ad. That's messed up.
That's cool. Monetization at its work. Wait, we want to see the end. Show me the end. We got to see that time. It's kind of in the title, but yeah, that's weird. It's not showing it. Anyway, if you look at the top, it's 139,894. So Ted broke the 140 barrier in a street car with street tires on it. This has been done by others in, we'll call them street cars. There's a local group that go to all the time attacks in an Audi R8 that is completely stripped out of the interior, highly modified, lots of aero, lots of power, and it's a V10. I think it makes 700 horsepower or something like that. Yeah, it was, the config was weird. Agreed. So you just have to do it again. So first GT car at the Ridge to break the 140s, and I still believe Ted holds the first, second, and third fastest GT cars there. We went 140 in the 4RS on street tires. I don't think anyone's gone faster than that in a street car. I know there's a couple guys that have gotten close. There's a 991.2 GT3 went 142, I think. But yeah, not sure. There's a whole bunch of lurkers. Paul's always in there lurking. He always, I put it in the okay. We'll have to figure out what that is.
That's the tacky.
That's
the tacky.
That's Philly downstairs tacking. So that pop you hear on occasion is our man Hillbilly Philly downstairs putting some tacks on some runners so we can clear out all those 174 orders. So Your MCS package goes on next week. That's awesome. Yes, sir. The 4RS Lab Rat went 140. Driven by Ted. I drove it to 142. That car is a beast. That car is a beast. Beastie, beastie, beast. That was on Supercar 3Rs. But yes, so fun. That's for those of you that know me, know I'm not a Cayman guy, but yes. Yep. Paul's in at 142. I beat him by a couple tenths, which I was very proud of. You gotta be proud when you go faster than the chief driving instructor for your Porsche club. Not his car, but you know, got to take your wins when you get them. So yeah, it was only 305s then too. We ended up putting the first car with 325s was Johnny Max. So 4RS was butter. It was super nice. Last tack of the day. Thank you, Philip. So this is why we sold 3 Lab Rat packages. We've got 3 Lab Rats that now exist at Coda, which is fantastic. Thank you, Barry, for everything that he's done. Barry Miner is that's Track Time, or It's Track Time on YouTube, and he's done a whole series of, was he going to do the Manti kit? Was he going to do our kit? Why did he choose ours over theirs? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really fun to see the work that you put into things actually get accepted in the marketplace and people spending their very hard-earned dollars with you to improve their love, their joy, their capabilities in the car. It's really cool. It's really cool. And thank you. It's humbling. It is. Even though I don't sound like I'm very humble, I am humbled. There we go. By those who are working with us, especially in the midst of essentially competing with Porsche in the same market. You know, SSR, a couple others. There's a very small market segment of folks doing what we do with these cars. So very cool. Okay, so we did DirtFish. We did 992 3RS model. We did, let's do the manufacturing tour. We've been rearranging here to make sure that we have efficient workflows. So I'll give you guys a little bit of an inside. Philip was able to build out the fab room. We were able to pull the lathe and the press and some other things inside what used to be the fab room and the welding room. So they were both kind of crammed into one room. We had Charles in the next door room, and that's where originally started as our engine building room when we were doing service, engines and trans and these kinds of things. And then Charles' office was in there. And so we ended up rearranging upstairs on the mezzanine, bringing Charles up here, clearing out all the engine building stuff. It's across the way on the other side of the shop now. And we opened up that room for full welding. So we have 3 full welding stations now, which is great. So this is the fab room. See, small fabrication tooling table where we tack some things together. Drill press, lathe, arbor press, Dundon Motorsports, no welding and fabrication. But he had to put that blue tape over there. A nice, organized area, stays relatively clean. Whirly thing, as I called it in the video, that you can't hear the audio for. And then we'll go next door into the welding room. This is where Justin has been spending a lot of time building 4RS mufflers, which have been pretty popular during the sale. You know, they give you a lot of horsepower. They sound great. And that's Solomon. He's been with us for a while now, watching YouTube and welding. I'm giving him shit about it. That's why he's chuckling. He has it more on his noise in the back. When I was a kid, I'd do my homework to listen to Metallica in the background, so I get it. It's all good. Bunch of 992 runners, bunch of tips. This is Justin's. The reason for all the curtaining and all of the kind of boards and stuff is to control airflow, because as Justin is purging, I was giving him shit about stealing my coffee cup and leaving it on his desk empty. As you're purging these mufflers with argon to get them all full of argon on the inside and drive out all the oxygen, so when you're welding on the outside, the airflow that's going around and through that area has a dramatic effect on how quickly you can purge them and how the rest of it works. So we should build you a 2RS rally car. 2RS Club Sport rally car. There you go. When you control all the airflow, that's what the welds look like. Nice and silver and beautiful. You know, we got some shit and some shade from some guys when we posted some pictures with a little bit of gold in the welds. Why do your mufflers look like shit? Well, it's because we don't polish them. We don't sandblast them. We don't do a number of things after we weld them to make them, quote, look better. We want you to be able to see how they're welded. And quite frankly, a gold weld, untreated, is way better than a weld that you see treated and you have no idea what it actually was. So, whole bunch of hubbub going on in the chat about a 991.2 GT2 RS Club Sport, $500,000 race car, very competent, very capable. It's a lot of car. It's a lot of car. And I think the reason that Chris got rid of it, it ended up being a little boring. It's kind of no fun to be the fastest car out there without even really trying to be the fastest car. So you got to remember the 2RS Club Sport was originally, there is another one registered in New Hampshire. So yes, you probably could in Idaho get it registered. It does have a VIN number. I can get you in touch with Carl Ising, and because he's the one that registered the other one, and he's going to probably register his Rensport R, would be my guess. So, all right.
It wasn't faster than, the Cup.
It wasn't faster than the Cup. Super duper Cup. Ted in the duper Cup.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, this all comes real fast. This is what it looks like when I'm in the 992 out there. I went 138 on the sim, so I was pretty happy with that.
Oh, really?
With Ted in it. I don't think Chris ever went 136.
Ridiculous.
Hopefully we can get the Cup back out this year. That'll be fun. Yeah, it's a lot of care and feeding for a race car. It's fun. And I still believe that we will all be driving Cup cars at some point on the track because the street cars are too damn fast and they're kind of worthless if you break them on track. If you had a little off and tap a quarter panel, even if you get it fixed, it's still kind of no good. Yeah, and that was with a busted front splitter. Word. It was probably costing you time, honestly. It wasn't making you faster. All right, so what else we got left, brother?
Your piece of carbon over there on the table.
Oh, yeah. Shoot, almost forgot. We got a new product announcement. So we got a new product announcement. This is another one of Horvier's. It took us a little bit to get it across the line, but it is a new wind deflector. And this is a wind deflector as in done by Dundon. So that means it's the best of the best. It's not going to be like anybody else's. As opposed to others that are out on the market that are just skins that you tape on, or they have plastic guts that you strip out the thread of the bolt when you put it on the car. This has a CNC machined skeleton in aluminum that the carbon is bonded to all around that you can see. So, goes on, completely replaces the existing part. These will be in stock probably about 6 weeks. So we had these on our car. We released them. They are gorgeous. We are very happy with how these turned out. Yeah, there's a lot of really inexpensive parts out there in the world. This is pre-preg carbon. It's going to always look like this. It's going to always be shiny. It's gorgeous. Never going to fly off the car. I know Paul had some issues with it coming off his car. It's like literally just flew off one day on his 992. 992 is up next. We'll get those moving quickly. Hordevier is gaining confidence and capability by the day. We won't need to do as much prototyping and checking and et cetera, for the 992 soon. This is a 718, 981, 991. It's exciting. We got one more product to add to the bag. So they are $7.99 a pair. Yes. So we are announcing pricing for these. They're $7.99 a pair. These are Chuck Diesel just got done on the dyno for now. Welcome to the party. We got through almost everything. Almost. So,
hello.
Hey, he's
Does
up.
this work?
Does this work? Does this thing work? Is this thing on? Yeah, you're good. I hear you beautifully. You sound delicious. I got him to crack. Perfect. So give you a little background about what CD's been up to. He's been next door in the dyno. We have a 718 GT4 manual here. So the muffler saga continues. We'll just say it that. Porsche, in their infinite wisdom, decided to make the engines and transmissions of the 4RS, the 718 PDK, and the 718 manual all be different lengths. Hey, there's somebody on there calling you dad.
Uh-oh.
I don't think it's your wife. It's probably somebody using your wife's account.
I'm assuming that's Charlie.
Probably. She doesn't have her own YouTube account yet, which is probably appropriate because she's 12. Right?
She would use mine.
Yeah, fair.
Almost 11.
Almost 11. She's
She turns 11 and then I get on an airplane.
Jeez. Yeah, oh, that's right. That is coming up. Yeah.
Next week.
Yeah, that's right. So Charlie was on not long ago. We had her on as a guest because she wanted to be on YouTube. Join us for Whiskey Friday. Obviously, we did not give her any whiskey, although she is the most articulate and intelligent 11-year-old that I can say that I've met in a long time. So kudos to
you should see all the math that I'm teaching her.
That's fantastic. Teach her about options.
I'm like, why are they teaching how to do division and multiplication this way?
100%. 100%. Do it this way. That way you can do it in your head.
So is this a 718 crowd or Boxer
yeah,
crowd?
we can talk. We can talk about it.
So, no, I purposely didn't take any dyno sheets because it's just currently where it's at. I'm just looking at some of the log stuff. Squiggly lines. I mean, by squiggly lines.
Yeah, literally squiggly lines.
Squiggly lines.
Squiggly lines.
So it's making power. It's torque limiting.
Big surprise. They all do.
It's in the 440 though currently.
Ooh. That's tasty.
So
that's pretty. That's within 5 of a stock GT4 RS.
Almost. It's more power.
It's probably more torque
up to 7,500. Yeah. It's up 52 pounds of torque over stock at $4,000.
Woo!
And then it's over the exhaust, because Ted, you asked over the what I have the notes in the dyno, what's published on the website.
Yep.
Those numbers.
Yep.
Not faker numbers. It's up 13 peak over those, and then almost 20 at like 7,200 or something.
Nice. And is that with tune or without?
That's with the tune that's on Doug's car that this car is not happy with.
Curious.
And that's with it pulling like 8 degrees of timing.
Holy shit. Yeah, it's really not happy.
So, but I'm surprised.
Mm-hmm.
The fueling's, it's somehow, other than there,
so
I can't do
it's torque
that.
limiting and it's got enough fuel. So we're gonna, this is the first time I've seen this data, and Charles and I talk People who listen to us talk about tuning cars have no idea what the fuck we're talking about, because after 10 years of doing this together, we don't have to say all the words. So
Throttle.
what the
It's commanded 100% and it's pulling it back.
to like
Half throttle.
oh shoot. Yeah, she's really trying to like ratchet that down. So it'll make way more than this if we can make it happy with what's going on.
Yeah. Right there. Oh, so hey, a little bit.
Yeah.
But this is not what's requested. So
All right.
that's not what it's running at. That's just the map.
Okay.
But
So we have been working with Cobb, Charles, when we did Doug's car. For backing up, Doug was up here in the summertime. Beautiful blue 718 GT4. He was the first one to get a prototype muffler on his PDK car, and it did well. It did well. It made great power. Charles was able to tune it. It lives in California. It runs on 91 octane, and it's very happy. So we have a local car. It's a manual car, so it's going to make more power anyway. The PDK Caymans and the manual Caymans do not make the same amount of horsepower to the tire as one another, even though they are the same amount of power at the crank. Yeah, literally, version 276 coming up.
77 because we modified this one.
Yeah, this one's got the corners cut off of it. So this goes back to my original comment that Porsche has made the distance between the, what would that be? The Y direction of the X direction of the engine and the transmission in total. On the 4RS is the shortest.
Mm-hmm.
And then the PDK version on the 718 is slightly longer. Good night, Philip. And then the manual version is long enough so that it's intersecting the bumper currently. Charles has some ideas to potentially resolve that. We're not sure that...
You know, we just missed Black Friday. We could have just bought sawzalls and hammers and sent them with every
I
muffler.
love that. I love that. Hey, free sawzall and a hammer with every muffler, and
It's the DIY install kit.
and some JB Weld for the seam.
I just have to tack mufflers.
Oh my God. Ed, do not do your own alignment. Take it somewhere and get it aligned, brother. Please.
If you can't measure and set caster, then you can't do it right.
Correct.
Please.
It's very hard to do that calculation. Take it somewhere and have the caster set.
That's
please.
good. That's good for getting the toe set so you can drive it somewhere though.
Yeah. Strings
I'll
are
say
good.
that.
Strings are good
You
for
can do
toe.
the basics is needed, but for the last, you haven't lived until you've seen a car where the camber's -3, toe's good with whatever.
Yep.
16th, 8th, 0 doesn't matter. You don't know where caster's at, then you get it on a rack and the steering axis inclination is 20 degrees on one side and 11 on the other.
Yeah, you're like,
But all the main numbers are okay. You're
I
like,
mean, tires like,
why does this car pull to the left uphill?
Right.
Oh, I wonder why.
right. We're not claiming you're an idiot, brother. It's just, it's hard. There are guys that do this professionally and don't bother with setting caster on the cars.
Yeah.
They just let caster ride. They get camber and toe with a string and they're good. They don't do any of the rest of it. So,
Well, that, and actually another thing too that you can do with, you don't need alignment or anything, is measuring and verifying the wheelbase after you adjust all this stuff.
Yes.
Because I've seen a few cars out 3/4 of an inch side to side.
right. One
Which
side,
is-
the wheels are much closer together
That's
than
like
the other.
Dirt
So-
track NASCAR stuff to make it turn left. So
Right. And it will turn left
or
until it
in
turns
case
right.
of this one car, it was to the right.
And then left.
No, just to the right.
Hmm.
So, you know, Australian Rihanna's twin sisters song on a right turning NASCAR track. Let's go with that. How do you do caster with strings? Somebody made a bubble gauge that does essentially, as you have if the steering axis was vertical and you turn the wheel, caster wouldn't change if it
Yeah,
was 0.
got it.
But when you
Goes in
tilt
and
it
out, right.
and you turn the wheel this way, as you turn the wheel in, I forget how far you have to go. I think it's 5 or 10 degrees. It will, your camber gauge, essentially, if you left your camber gauge on the wheel and you turned it, you would gain camber on the outer wheel. So if you're turning to the right, you'd gain camber on the left wheel. And that change, depending on your steering axis inclination,
Yeah.
and how far you're rotating it, it will move a certain amount. And there's a calculation for it. There's gauges for it. The bubble gauge ones, yeah, the bubble gauge ones are as good as leveling anything in your house with the bubble gauge, I'd say. You know?
Yeah. I was like, a bubble gauge that's this long does not get you much of a idea of level.
Yeah, imagine trying to set
longer gauge.
37-degree stair incline with the bubble gauge.
Right. It's going to be plus or minus 5 degrees.
Yeah. So so there's the digital ones with if you had a digital level, which kind of make it, I guess, a digital bubble gauge, which is about what I was going to call it. You could do it with 2 digital angle finders stacked.
2 iPhones.
But yeah, they make the tools for it, but by the time you've done and you've got it, it depends how much you're doing it though. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, and even then, to add to your comment, the laser machine, I found as you make adjustments on the rack and you're moving, because that caster isn't live, so as I adjust it, trying to get it from the last car 10.18 degrees, and I'm trying to get it into the 7s, and you're adjusting that, and wheelbase is moving, the alignment head sensor is moving from 0. As the farther you move it from that, the more margin for error there is. So after you make some adjustments, you have to go back. You should. Most
Check
people
it
don't do
again.
this,
Right.
and not just reread caster, but once you do that, you have to recompensate the heads back 0 again.
Right.
You have to re-zero that number and start over, and you have to do this every time or every other time to make sure it's correct.
Right.
To where you should be able to get the number repeatable. Not, and some guys will say, oh yeah, every time you put it on the rack, it's different. Well, it's different. But if your toes change, if you align a car and it's got -3 camber on both sides, you take it off the rack, put it back on the rack, and now it's -2.5. It doesn't just change half a degree.
Right.
A tenth or something, sure, that's fine. But if your caster, if all your numbers are changing a lot every time, then something's off, or you made an adjustment where you had too much variation, margin for error. You're getting farther from where the head's calibrated at 0, and then you're moving off of it for a bit. So
Right.
that's stuff that I do. Where I think Eric's car, I had to do that 4 times. I had to recompensate the heads on it 4
I remember you
times
saying that
to make sure I got the numbers correct.
the alignment machine was
So-
kind of fighting you.
It just, when you're doing extreme measurements, it's that.
Yeah.
So
for those that don't know, we built Eric Bond a ST clone, if you will, out of a 991.2. We're going to be offering this parts package because his car is freaking amazing. It's a 991.2 Touring. It has our power package. It has MCS. It has a tune. It's about to get some Super Squirrel Secret drivetrain sauce on it.
Mm-hmm.
So lightweight flywheel and some other things that Charles has been working on in the background. So that he'll be back in for that. We realigned it. And don't do this at home, but Eric went about 10 miles an hour faster on some of the corners that he likes to take on the back roads over a local shop that aligned the car with a competitor's suspension arms and whatnot, which would have probably made it a little easier for Charles to get it aligned. But
at least the tie rods. But
yeah.
Chris, those cars stock are usually pretty close to 9, like 8.5, 8.8 that I see. I take them all the way down to I've never seen a stock Porsche water cooled one in the 7s.
Right.
I usually set them I shoot for 7 3/4 essentially on those. 7.75, 7.8 usually.
Mm-hmm.
Always less than 8 on both. And I'm not trying to get them 7.75, 7.76. Sometimes they're off a tenth, and that's kind of, it is what it is. But I'd do plus or minus 0.2 of a degree caster side to side. But
Yeah, Tosh was just trying to get him in the ballpark.
Yeah, some cars are just different and how the subframes aren't quite in there right, and you can't get them to that, and you'll get
Like
it from
RS was a half degree off from camber from one side to the
Yeah,
other with the same amount of shims.
If you don't have our offset upper top hats and you have stock ones tilted all the way in, you need 15 or 20 millimeters of shim on the bottom,
right,
to get into the 3s or 3 degrees, 3.1 for camber. But I think caster is into the 11s at that point.
Right.
Remember, I think that's what Pat's car was, which he liked, which was odd.
Okay. Don't do this at home.
Yeah, makes all the difference though. But
absolutely.
Anyways, Dougie's car can't get that low with the big old tires.
Where did you get that one to?
I didn't do it.
Yeah, that's right. Spec did that.
I haven't done it yet.
Yeah. So when it comes in for MCS, it'll probably it won't be that one. We'll see it again for something. Jacob also likes to shoot middle of the road. And he doesn't push things to an extreme. Charles gets feedback from Ted and Jamie on the racetrack and often doesn't tell us what we're about to drive because he's doing the experiment on us. And then we come back and he's like, how was it? Good. What did we drive?
An inch of toe out.
Exactly. And 4.5 degree, negative 4.5 degrees of camber. So, but yeah. So Charles has been able to experiment with us as drivers, both an amateur and a pro, and build his own kind of library of what he thinks works and then validate that it did work and then drive through that. Plus the 25 years of him doing it with others.
It's different when we have our own rack and I can just
100%
adjust, go drive it, adjust, or even just me driving the car and I'll make adjustments on it and do 5 alignments in between track days versus it's different when a customer has to go to a shop, pay them if they want to. You change enough of it and you got to check corner balance on it and then you got to realign it, drive it, check it. Nope, let's change it again.
Yep.
It can be thousands of dollars of guessing.
Just
I guess,
on and on and on. Yeah, when you have the tools and the quote time is free, then you can do it over and over again.
That was a $22,000 alignment.
Exactly.
How long did it take? 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Why? Because I hit it with the hammer in the right spot. Literally, he took a hammer out to the RS to fix it.
Oh, the subframe was
crooked. Off. So
yeah. I'm going to change that, Ted, to degrees, minutes, seconds, just to make everybody go crazy.
Oh, Jesus, please don't. Please don't. Not degrees, minutes, seconds. That took me a minute to actually to get it figured out.
And then somehow I'll change that into latitude and longitude coordinates.
God. Here's your GPS coordinates for your alignment.
For your alignment.
What the fuck? How do I deal with this? So
I'll find a way to convert that to toe in like Pascals or something.
Jeez. What else we got on there, producer? Did we get it all? All right, so we're gonna keep working on the 718. Charles and I chatted earlier. We do have a path for a universal 718 GT4 muffler. It's going to take us a little while to get that across, and we may not immediately release that. Sorry, all of you came in manual fellas. Those of you with PDKs will be able to get the parts sooner than those who have a manual if we want to get those out. Oh yeah, that was a good one. Just
exactly.
This was fun from over the Thanksgiving holiday. We had a special guest write in, Rod Emery. Those of you who don't know who Rod is should look him up. He's the king of Hot Rod 356 Outlaws. He's been doing it for a long time. He's got a lot of respect. He sells them for lots and lots of money. So he knows what a good car looks like. He knows what good parts look like. He's a fabricator. And he wrote on one of our ads, why don't you blow that up again? This was actually really cool. So tempting. My 4RS would love to have this under the Christmas tree along with the muffler. Great work, guys. So you never know who's looking at you when you're out just doing your thing. So that means you just got to keep doing your thing. So that was really cool. I'm waiting for Jerry Seinfeld follows us. When you go into our Instagram and you
For a few years now.
scroll through, like 5 or 6 at this point.
Yeah.
He's been in there for a long time. Never commented, but he's always out there lurking. I don't know if he isn't watching this. So,
And he doesn't follow that many. It's not like he has 17,000 people that he's following. It's
Yeah.
not like 100 or something. or
Porsche
less.
stuff,
Yeah.
right? He's big into the Porsche. So that's really cool. I'm sure there's a bunch of others, but not that Jerry's like the be all end all of everything in Porsche, but he's got a lot of money. He's got a crazy good collection of cars. So it's kind of cool to be on that radar. It's always a little awe-striking. What's the right word I'm looking for? Where you're like, ooh, somebody that's big and famous likes us. So AR would do a good job as well, Chris. AR Motorsports would do a good job aligning the car. They do a lot of MCS stuff as well. They just did an install for a customer of ours down in Portland. I don't have anything else. We can wrap it up. I gotta go pick up a steak and some hamburgers for dinner. It is Friday night. We're back to our regularly scheduled program. For those of you who have purchased over Black Friday, thank you for your patronage. It is greatly appreciated. Give us a little bit of time. We are madly trying to get those of you who waited 27 days in order to purchase something over that long Black Friday period that we had things on sale. Those of you at the end, gonna wait a little bit longer. Gonna be a little bit into probably closer to Christmas to get some of your parts out. Ed, your splitter should be ready next week. Your wing might be ready by next week. So, got it. Complex relationship. I understand. Every shop does the best they can. Sometimes they step in poo and, they can't get it off their shoe with some guys. We had something like that with a customer. Some things went sideways with the shop on the East Coast, and we're trying to figure that out because the shop's kind of gone dark with us. It happens on both sides of the equation. So we will go forward from there, and hopefully Ed can get, hey, what's going on, Gabe? Good to see you, brother. Hopefully Ed gets his splitter and wing on to get some snow on it before the winter's over, which I expect he will. He's good at playing snowplow.
Yeah, we could make a snowplow kit for it. The splitter mounts might hold it up.
That would actually be kind of cool. Big dozer nose, 3D printed dozer nose, little tiny one to shoot it up over the hood.
Oh, I was thinking like a D14 one, but
That's a bit heavy. Whole car is going to be like this.
I don't even think it would move it.
All right, y'all. Have a wonderful weekend. I'm going to get out of here. Charles is going to look at squiggly lines and go home and hug his kids. So